Dawn on the savannah. Ambient temperature sits at 18 degrees Celsius. This is the optimal thermodynamic window for apex endurance hunters. The African wild dog, Lycaon pictus. Their oversized ears are not just acoustic radars, they are dense capillary networks functioning as thermoregulators, dissipating core heat during prolonged high-speed pursuits. Navigating the tall grass, the pack engages in active environmental processing. Their binocular vision and directional hearing overlap. Operating in this dispersed line, they create a synchronized sensory grid, detecting the slightest kinetic shift in the savanna. The yellow stalks provide effective camouflage for herbivores. In response, this wide frontal assault acts as a biological net, mechanically designed to flush concealed targets out of the brush. High-frequency twitters synchronize their positioning without alerting larger prey. The pack fundamentally alters its operational mode. High-speed pursuit parameters are deactivated. They lower their center of gravity, adopting a predatory crawl. They are now operating entirely in stealth. Their objective is elevated, a basalt outcrop, a natural geological stronghold that serves as a thermal sink during the night and a tactical fortress by day. Here, a troop of olive baboons, numbering over 40 individuals, has established their high-ground sanctuary. The early morning light initiates a critical neurochemical protocol within the baboon troop, allogrooming. This behavior transcends physical hygiene. The tactile stimulation triggers the release of endorphins and oxytocin, simultaneously lowering cortisol levels while solidifying their complex hierarchical alliances. A troop of this density presents a formidable defensive matrix. The adult males act as perimeter sentinels. Biologically equipped with canines measuring up to 5 centimeters exceeding those of a leopard, they represent a lethal, high-risk variable for any approaching predator. Even after the allogrooming protocol, the troop remains anchored to the basalt outcrop. This elevated topography provides a dual biological advantage: maximum solar exposure to rapidly elevate their core body temperature after the cold savanna night, and an unobstructed 360-degree visual sweep of the surrounding biome. Within this high-ground sanctuary, internal hierarchy dictates spatial positioning. The dominant alpha males occupy the outermost perimeters. Functioning as an early warning radar system, their binocular vision scans the yellow grass for kinetic anomalies. Their physical presence deters terrestrial threats from attempting a vertical assault. In the protected center, juveniles engage in high-energy mock combat. This is not merely play, it is a critical neurological simulation. They are developing the fast-twitch muscle fibers and spatial awareness required to survive future predator encounters. All while constant low-frequency vocalizations maintain an acoustic tether between the 40 individuals. For the baboons, every day is a biological war, caught between caloric starvation and the savanna's hidden threats. Every decision is a calculated risk. Here, one miscalculation means death. Below the outcrop, the wild dogs remain locked in their stealth formation. A direct upward charge against an alert baboon troop is biologically unviable. The canines are engaged in a game of thermodynamic patience, waiting for a single juvenile or subadult to miscalculate their spatial boundaries and step too close to the precipice. An underdeveloped threat perception overrides survival instincts. Driven by a caloric deficit, a naive juvenile steps outside the troop's safety zone, a fatal geometric error. The sensory trigger is pulled. The wild dogs instantly transition from stealth to maximum kinetic output, deploying a synchronized intercept trajectory. Through a suffocating high-speed encirclement, the juvenile is forced into a dead end fractions of a second before the alpha males can unleash a counter-strike. In a desperate biomechanical reflex, the juvenile exploits the canine's anatomical limitation, a lack of arboreal adaptation. It ascends a solitary acacia, a temporary vertical refuge. From the high branches, the juvenile emits a high decibel distress frequency. This is not merely a cry of fear. It is a highly evolved acoustic beacon designed to pierce the savannah's ambient noise. It carries a specific biometric signature, triggering a hardwired neurochemical alarm within the troop. The acoustic signal triggers an instant adrenaline cascade. Abandoning all foraging protocols, the alpha males mobilize into an offensive phalanx. Driven to protect their genetic investment, a multi-ton wave of primate muscle and lethal canines surges toward the tree. The siege is shattered by sheer, overwhelming kinetic force. The collision is instantaneous. Driven by kin selection, the alpha males unleash a blunt force trauma assault. Wielding 5-centimeter canines, this multi-ton wave of primate muscle shatters the dog's siege protocol. It is an asymmetrical territorial defense, neutralizing the threat in seconds and safely retrieving the juvenile. Outweighed and outweaponized, the canine neurocircuitry abruptly switches from predatory aggression to absolute panic. In the ruthless economics of the savannah, a primate bite means septicemia and certain death. The pack dissolves into an uncoordinated retreat. But surviving the counterattack is only their first hurdle. As the adrenaline crash hits, a terrifying physiological reality sets in. They have expended a massive amount of metabolic energy for a zero-caloric return. Scattering into the dry grass, the pack's highly organized neural network devolves into a chaotic flight response. Hyperventilating and visibly panicked, the wild dogs are consumed by a profound behavioral trauma. The immediate terror of the primate's blunt force counterstrike quickly morphs into an existential dread. Their biological clock is now ticking exponentially faster. Prolonged starvation will inevitably compromise their immune systems and shatter their coordinated hunting matrix. This single disastrous ambush has pushed the terrified canines to the absolute brink of caloric bankruptcy. While the baboons stabilize their acoustic tether, the desperate dogs must keep moving, haunted by the savannah's ultimate apex equation: hunt successfully or perish. This is not a tactical withdrawal. It is a blind, adrenaline-fueled rout. Tails tucked and ears pinned flat, classic morphological markers of acute subordination. They scramble erratically over the abrasive terrain. The pack's collective mind has been hijacked by the reptilian brain, driven purely by a singular imperative: put maximum distance between themselves and the primate fury. Deep within the troop's concentric core, a maternal reunion occurs. The mother retrieves her juvenile. This intense tactile interaction allogrooming triggers a massive release of oxytocin, effectively degrading the residual cortisol from the morning's trauma. The troop's fractured social matrix is chemically and physically seamlessly repaired. As the solar angle diminishes, the savannah undergoes a rapid thermodynamic shift. The diurnal cycle draws to a close. For the Papio anubis troop, this diminishing light signals an immediate behavioral transition, abandoning all foraging protocols to retreat into an elevated nocturnal fortress. Sikhote Alin, the Russian Far East. Here, the northern taiga collides with subarctic frost. Temperatures plummet to -40 degrees Celsius. Winter in this mountain range is not merely a season, it is a metabolic crucible. To survive, every organism must ruthlessly optimize its thermal economy. The snow layer is both an executioner and an insulating shield. Sikhote Alin, a deep freeze where survival dictates a radical biological response. The reindeer engineered to withstand the thermal drain. Their coat is composed of hollow hair shafts, trapping air to create an absolute vacuum of insulation. The musk ox adheres strictly to Bergmann's rule, a massive body with a low surface area to volume ratio to minimize heat loss. The white wolf, the apex tactical predator of the tundra, operating as a singular superorganism. Weighing a ton, the bison uses hypertrophied cervical vertebrae to bulldoze through the snowpack. To conquer the thermodynamic nightmare of Sikhote Alin, motion itself must be redefined. Navigating this frozen void, the reindeer herd relies entirely on flawless biomechanical engineering. Upon impact, their crescent hooves splay outward, instantly functioning as biological snowshoes. Beneath the skin, a network of elastic tendons acts as kinetic springs, absorbing and firing energy with every stride. It is a masterclass in locomotive efficiency, propelling them across the deep powder with near-zero caloric leakage. The atmospheric pressure plummets. A katabatic storm sweeps across the taiga, driving the wind chill down to a lethal -50 degrees. Visibility drops to absolute zero. The thermodynamic tax on every living organism instantly doubles. In Sikhote Alin, life is not a right. It is a strictly audited equation of caloric reserves, metabolic output, and the merciless laws of thermal equilibrium. When the metabolic fires finally extinguish, biology unconditionally surrenders to physics. The fallen become nothing more than frozen carbon structures, their residual energy slowly reabsorbed by the indifferent mountain. Into the teeth of the blizzard, the Wapiti herd presses forward. To combat the lethal wind resistance, they adopt a strict aerodynamic drafting formation. Yet, amidst the blinding whiteout, the remaining fauna anchor themselves against the vortex, pushing their metabolic engines to the absolute brink in a defiant standoff against the ice. A subtle shift in the air currents introduces a heavy, carnivorous vector. The prey do not need to see the predator. Their olfactory receptors have already confirmed the arrival of an inescapable apex threat. The localized ecosystem has detected a massive, 300-pound anomaly moving flawlessly through the powder. The katabatic winds show no mercy, but the Amur tiger remains anchored. At rest, her massive muscular furnace operates in idle mode. She is burning through critical lipid reserves for one purpose only: to maintain a core basal temperature of 38 degrees Celsius against the -50-degree onslaught. But this thermal shielding comes at a catastrophic metabolic cost. A tiger of this magnitude requires a massive caloric intake just to sustain its engine. Inaction is not a strategy. It is a countdown to starvation. The blizzard hasn't trapped her, it has forced her hand. Preparing for a zero-visibility kinetic strike requires complex sensory recalibration. The tiger's vibrissae, the highly sensitive facial whiskers, act as a tactile radar, detecting microscopic shifts in air pressure. She is actively filtering the chaotic frequency of the storm, isolating the faint, low-frequency acoustic signatures of struggling prey. Through the localized whiteout, a secondary predator navigates the thermodynamic wasteland, the Eurasian wolf. It moves at a deliberate, low-output trot to minimize caloric burn. Its paws, functioning as thermal insulators, barely compress the powder. The wolf is operating on a severe energetic deficit. Every step without a kill pushes it closer to metabolic failure. That is, until a sudden shift in the biting crosswind delivers a faint, isolated chemical signature to its olfactory receptors. The warm, metallic scent of freshly spilled blood. Suddenly, its forward momentum ceases. The olfactory bulb, packed with millions of receptors, has intercepted a microscopic vector, a thermal signature hidden within the drift. The Arctic hare. As the wolf slowly positions its mass for a downward kinetic strike, it falls into neurobiological tunnel vision. The predator's auditory cortex locks exclusively onto the faint, rhythmic respiration of the hare. But this absolute fixation creates a fatal blind spot. In its meticulous effort to shift its weight, the wolf fractures a hidden layer of subterranean ice. A sharp, macroscopic acoustic snap shatters the silence. The wolf, consumed entirely by its subterranean ambush, is completely oblivious to the shifting hierarchy. It does not realize that its status has just been violently downgraded, from apex hunter to target. Relying entirely on cryptic coloration, the hare's pelage blends seamlessly into the snowpack. The wolf lowers its center of gravity, shifting into a stealth approach. Beneath the relentless, driving snowfall, the stage is set for a brutal and inevitable confrontation over those critical, life-sustaining calories. Relying entirely on cryptic coloration, the hare's pelage blends seamlessly into the snowpack. The wolf lowers its center of gravity, shifting into a stealth approach. Stealth is abandoned. Driven by a critical caloric deficit, the wolf shifts to brute mechanical excavation. Its forelimbs act as biological shovels, displacing compacted snow at a frantic rate. This anaerobic exertion demands a massive surge of oxygen, elevating its heart rate to maximum capacity. In its desperate bid to unearth the prey, the predator becomes completely blinded to anything outside its immediate kinetic objective. From the periphery, the Amur tiger silently processes the chaos. The tiger is the absolute embodiment of thermal and kinetic efficiency. While the wolf rapidly depletes its finite energy reserves, the tiger remains anchored. The tiger's binocular vision calculates the exact interception geometry. The tiger is no longer tracking a microscopic scent. The tiger is actively locking onto an exhausted, high-value target that has effectively trapped itself. the taiga snowpack becomes an arena of intense biomechanical contrast. Driven to the brink of metabolic failure, the Eurasian wolf abandons all caution. The wolf utilizes its forelimbs as biological excavators, violently burning through its final anaerobic reserves to breach the subniveum layer. This singular kinetic obsession causes a complete cognitive collapse, blinding the wolf to its macro environment. The structural integrity of the subniveum refuge finally fails. The Arctic hare is forcefully ejected to the surface. The breach immediately triggers a fight-or-flight endocrine response, flooding its cardiovascular system with adrenaline. Its hind legs, densely packed with fast-twitch muscle fibers, execute an explosive kinetic launch accelerating to 60 kilometers per hour in seconds. The localized ecosystem violently erupts into a multi-tiered thermodynamic chase. As the wolf tears into its fresh kill, its body redirects all energy inward. Blood rushes away from its senses to fuel digestion, locking the predator into a temporary state of oblivion. Blinded by the meal and deafened by the crunch of bone, the wolf has no idea its victory has just created its greatest vulnerability. But the taiga grants no reprieves. The Amur tiger closes the distance. Moving 300 kilograms of raw power in absolute silence is a masterpiece of evolution. With perfect precision, the tiger places its hind paws exactly into the tracks of its front paws, erasing its own acoustic footprint. The stealth phase abruptly ends. The Amur tiger erupts from the snow, unleashing a terrifying kinetic assault. Accelerating to over 50 kilometers per hour in mere seconds, 300 kilograms of muscle and bone become a living missile. The wolf, completely caught off guard by its own meal, has zero time to react. This is not a chase, it is an execution of raw physics. The impact is devastating, but the Eurasian wolf is a resilient survivor, instinctively fighting back with desperate ferocity. However, the biomechanical mismatch is absolute. The tiger's massive forelimbs, armed with retractable claws, grapple and lock the prey, neutralizing the wolf's mobility. Every thrash of the wolf is met with an overwhelming counterforce. In the brutal mathematics of the taiga, willpower cannot overcome a 3-to-1 weight advantage. The climax of the struggle arrives. The tiger's jaws, capable of generating over 1,000 pounds of bite force, finally lock onto their target. A precision strike to the cervical vertebrae severs the spinal cord, inducing immediate paralysis. The desperate struggle ceases. As the snow dust settles, the Amur tiger reclaims its ultimate prize, not just a meal, but its undisputed title as the apex lord of the mountain. Ravens, the ultimate opportunists of the taiga, sound their requiem. Their echoing cries are not mourning the dead. They are an acoustic broadcast, signaling a newly available caloric surplus to the rest of the flock. As solar radiation fades, the lethal temperatures of Sikota Alin plummet once more. But tonight, the monarch of the snow breathes easily. In this brutal equation of energy and ice, equilibrium has been violently restored. A realm forged in fractured stone and suffocating ice. Welcome to the roof of the world. Up here, oxygen is a luxury, and the cold is a ruthless executioner. Yet, clinging to the edge of the abyss, a herd of mountain goats, phantoms of the high alpine, navigating a 60-degree death drop as if it were a casual stroll. But surviving the extremes is only half the battle. This young goat drinks a liquid lifeline. The mother's fat-rich milk acts as a metabolic furnace. For the mountain antelope, extreme altitude is their armor. They retreat to these treacherous ridges to escape the jaws of ground-dwelling predators. Safe above the tree line, they believe they are untouchable. Enter the golden eagle, an apex avian assassin with a 7-foot wingspan, riding the invisible thermal updrafts with effortless, terrifying precision. Forced to cross deep snow, the antelope's greatest defense, their speed, is instantly stripped away. They are vulnerable. High above the clouds, the winged Terminator locks onto her target. The ambush is set. As the snow retreats, the brutal mountain reveals a softer side. This highland valley transforms from a frozen wasteland into a fleeting oasis of life. The warming sun triggers an explosion of nutrient-dense vegetation across the slopes, a temporary feast, served on a grand scale. What looks like idle rest is actually hard metabolic work. They ruminate, maximizing the nutrient extraction from every single blade of grass. Emerging from months of winter fasting, the brown bear is driven by a singular, overwhelming urge, hyperphagia, an insatiable, biological need to consume. The river, it is a vital artery of life, but also a fiercely contested arena. Here, strict hierarchies dictate survival. Catching them requires explosive acceleration. Despite weighing over 800 pounds, a grizzly can strike with astonishing liquid speed. Each bear employs a distinct strategy. Some stand like statues, instinctively calculating the optical refraction of the water to gauge the exact depth of their prey. Others rely on brute force, pinning the muscular, slippery fish directly to the riverbed. In times of abundance, the bears become selective gourmets. They prioritize the skin, brains, and roe the parts richest in essential fats. Sated, the titans retreat to the shores. The frantic urgency subsides, replaced by the heavy lethargy of digestion. Driven by an insatiable biological imperative, this apex predator patrols the treacherous alpine slopes. Every calorie burned climbing must be replaced with flesh. The mountain goats detect a disturbance in the landscape. A massive silhouette breaking the horizon. ambush breaks, accelerating with terrifying speed. The mother mountain goat and her young kid are driven to the absolute edge. They retreat onto a fragile, overhanging branch. The grizzly bear brings 1,000 pounds of lethal force, but physics is the ultimate equalizer. As the immediate threat dissipates, adrenaline slowly gives way to exhaustion. Bathed in the golden glow of the alpine sunset, the mother mountain goat and her young kid reclaim their sanctuary. In this unforgiving vertical kingdom, life is a delicate, razor-thin balance, where one calculated step dictates who lives to see another dawn. The Western Ghats, a formidable topographic barrier. Here, colossal ancient trees, the megaflora of this ecosystem, engineer a complex, multi-tiered canopy. Solar radiation fractures through the dense foliage, casting intense Tyndall beams. This sharp contrast between absolute shadow and concentrated light fundamentally alters visual perception at ground level. Beneath this overarching architecture lies a hyper-competitive biological arena. The forest floor, disrupted by massive root buttresses, creates a labyrinth of acoustic and visual blind spots. Survival here is governed by spatial geometry. Predators hyper-specialize in disruptive coloration, synchronizing their movements with the shifting sun shafts to execute lethal, zero-margin ambushes. A melanistic leopard. Born with a genetic surge of dark pigment, he is a living ghost within this sun-dappled forest. Here, shadows are the ultimate weapon, and evolution has forged him into the perfect assassin. Even in the gloom, nothing escapes him. His hypersensitive whiskers are currently mapping the microshifts in the air. He isn't just looking for his prey, he is feeling its breath. Just yards away, a herd of foraging herbivores. Their ruminant biology demands constant feeding, tethering them to the open ground. But they are far from defenseless. Laterally positioned eyes offer a near 360-degree visual net. Their ears pivot independently, acting as parabolic dishes scanning for acoustic anomalies. Yet, the leopard calculates the blind spots. Approaching strictly downwind, he erases his chemical signature. The predator and prey are now locked in a silent, high-stakes game of sensory warfare. The critical distance is breached. In a fraction of a second, potential energy explodes into kinetic fury. Fast-twitch muscle fibers ignite, propelling 80 kilograms of apex predator at terminal velocity. Leverage overcomes endurance. The predator targets the ultimate biological vulnerability, the trachea. Driven by powerful jaw muscles anchored to the sagittal crest, a crushing bite seals the windpipe, depriving the brain of oxygen. Deep within the undergrowth, a contrasting narrative unfolds. A female leopard and her cubs. Born blind and almost entirely dependent, these altricial cubs represent a massive biological investment. For the mother, lactation creates an extreme caloric deficit. Her metabolic rate has nearly doubled. To sustain milk production, minor prey is no longer viable. She requires a massive influx of ungulate protein. The rapid growth of her cubs imposes an extreme metabolic tax on the mother. Yet, a fierce maternal devotion overrides her own physical exhaustion. This bond is biochemically absolute. A continuous surge of oxytocin intertwines her existence with theirs, while elevated cortisol levels drive a relentless, hyper-vigilant anxiety for their survival. The wind shifts, carrying the unmistakable olfactory signature of a fresh kill. Initiating a new hunt now risks depleting her final energy reserves. But kleptoparasitism, stealing an existing carcass, offers a high-yield alternative.
The confrontation is immediate. Feline combat is rarely a test of endurance. It is a hyper-violent exchange of fast-twitch muscle strikes. The female, supercharged by maternal endocrinology, completely overrides her instinct for self-preservation. The female leopard's claws act like sharp grappling hooks, aiming to strike muscle groups and instantly disable her opponent. Furthermore, the physical advantage is completely one-sided. The black leopard is starved of oxygen, and his muscles are still burning with lactic acid from the recent takedown. The exhausted black leopard retreats. Driven by the absolute biological imperative to nourish her cubs, the female leopard secures the prize, momentarily rewriting the apex hierarchy of the forest floor. The clash is over, but the physical toll is severe. The female leopard's respiratory rate spikes, acting as a rapid cooling mechanism to lower her dangerously high core temperature after the fight. But she cannot rest for long. The scent of blood will soon attract scavengers. Engaging her massive neck and jaw muscles, the leopard locks onto the antelope carcass. She must now drag a weight nearly equal to her own. Every step requires immense physical strength. She carefully navigates the complex root systems of the forest floor, dragging the massive antelope step by step back to her hidden den. The energy cycle is complete. The rich protein from the antelope carcass will directly fuel the rapid growth of her cubs, ensuring the leopard's bloodline continues to survive in the unforgiving Western Ghats. The mother returns to the hidden den. For solitary apex predators, this reunion is critical. The cubs actively greet her using tactile and olfactory cues, reinforcing their biochemical bond and confirming her identity after the long absence. The antelope carcass marks a critical dietary shift. The cubs are transitioning from a milk-based diet to solid protein. Their specialized carnassial teeth, the biological shears of the feline family, are now developed enough to slice through muscle tissue. Feeding is a synchronized, highly efficient process. While the cubs eagerly ingest the high-density amino acids necessary for their rapid growth, the mother fiercely consumes her share to replenish the massive caloric deficit incurred during the hunt and the clash. Hidden safely within the dense foliage, the family shares the prize in absolute silence to avoid detection. In the complex ecosystem of the Western Ghats, survival is a constant, unforgiving transfer of energy. With the meal consumed, The biological imperative shifts from aggression to restoration. The adrenaline that fueled the intense conflict dissipates, replaced by the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's essential rest and digest state. This intimate physical interaction, allogrooming, is far more than mere affection. It is a vital survival tactic. Her abrasive, papillae-covered tongue acts as a biological comb, meticulously stripping away the scent of blood that could betray their location to rival predators. As the Earth's rotation alters the angle of solar radiation, the visible light spectrum shifts. Twilight descends upon the ancient canopy. The Western Ghats never sleep. As diurnal activity ceases, a new demographic of apex predators awakens. In this pristine wilderness, the unending cycle of energy exchange simply turns the page.
Within this dense, tangled microclimate, smaller species do not merely hide, they integrate. Utilizing rapid thermoregulation and acute seismic sensitivity, they turn the interlocking root systems into an advanced early warning grid. Driven by intense resource competition, species have evolved specialized morphological weaponry from reinforced armor plating to high-impact kinetic appendages. Every physical clash is a calculated gamble of the victor claims the ultimate ecological prize, exclusive access to caloric reserves and reproductive rights. In this harsh coastal fortress, conflict is the crucible that forces evolution forward. Beyond the relentless salt winds, the dense interior of the coastal scrub forms an impenetrable biological shield. Here, the interlocking canopy creates a stable microclimate, protecting life from the scorching ultraviolet radiation. Survival here is not always a physical clash. It is a masterclass in energy conservation. Daily behavioral rhythms are strictly dictated by the shifting temperature gradients. Deep within the scrub, a sounder of wild boars engages in intensive soil bioturbation. Their highly modified snouts act as powerful biomechanical plows, guided by an olfactory cortex capable of detecting subterranean caloric reserves. Intently focused on foraging, they are completely unaware that their body heat has just exposed their exact location to a hidden predator. A tiger relies on its natural camouflage. Its vertical stripes blend perfectly with the shadows of the palm leaves, making a 200-kilogram predator completely invisible. Wild boars possess an exceptional sense of smell, often surpassing that of dogs. To counter this, the tiger continuously monitors the airflow, moving strictly upwind so its scent is blown in the opposite direction. A tiger's paw is a masterpiece of sound suppression. Thick fat pads absorb the entire weight of its body, while a specialized ligament system keeps the claws fully retracted, ensuring absolute silence. Nature is unpredictable. A sudden micro-shift in the coastal wind alters the airflow. Instantly, the tiger's chemical signature is carried directly into the boar's highly sensitive snouts. The boar's olfactory receptors process the predator's scent in milliseconds. A massive adrenaline dump floods their system. Forced to react, the tiger abandons stealth. Its fast twitch muscles fire simultaneously, releasing the stored elastic energy to launch 200 kilograms forward. The kinetic chase officially begins. The ambush explodes into a high-speed pursuit. Propelled by massive muscle contractions, The 200-kilogram predator accelerates to 60 kilometers per hour in seconds. But this is a biological ticking clock. It must secure the kill before lactic acid paralyzes its legs. But an apex predator is built to bypass chaos. The tiger's visual cortex instantly filters the distractions, locking onto a single, slightly slower individual. The death sentence is signed. Every ounce of kinetic energy is now laser-focused on this one prey. The violent transaction is complete. The rest of the herd survives another day, leaving the weakest behind. For the tiger, this blood-soaked victory provides a massive influx of calories, fueling its reign over the unforgiving coastal scrub. Driven by deep-rooted instincts, the apex predator seeks the sanctuary of the dense scrub. It claims a hidden refuge, a quiet space where the lingering scent of the hunt can safely dissolve into the evening breeze. In the pitch-black canopy, a marvel of evolution illuminates the dark. Under this gentle glow, the sovereign of the scrub quietly watches over the sleeping forest. Under the vast equatorial sky, the savanna operates as a massive, solar-powered thermodynamic engine. Here, specialized grasses efficiently convert photons into dense caloric biomass, creating a foundation of apparent serenity. Roaming across this sun-drenched landscape, vast biological consortiums of primary consumers engage in peaceful, synchronized foraging. Their methodical movements facilitate essential nutrient cycling, maintaining the very ecosystem that sustains them. Yet, this tranquil equilibrium is ecologically fragile. As heads lower to maximize caloric intake, collective vigilance naturally degrades. They exist in a state of naive comfort, entirely unaware that the savanna's gentle thermal hazes and acoustic interference are precisely the variables required for a predator's perfect concealment. Hidden within the tall grass, a coalition of cheetahs engages in strict metabolic conservation. This resting phase is a physiological necessity, preserving crucial ATP reserves within their fast-twitch muscle fibers. In moments, this metabolic reserve will ignite, transforming static observation into a high-speed predatory pursuit. For the female antelope, endocrine cascades trigger intense uterine contractions, initiating the complex physiological mechanics of parturition. The antelope calf emerges, encapsulated within the amniotic sac. Lowering its center of gravity to utilize the microtopography, the cheetah assesses the target. It calculates the mother's flight response against the neonate's zero mobility, waiting for the optimal strike geometry. This membrane must rupture to facilitate the vital transition to pulmonary respiration. The stalk requires absolute biomechanical control. The cheetah executes precise digitigrade locomotion, absorbing impact through specialized digital pads to negate acoustic interference. Adrenaline surges, priming the cheetah's fast-twitch muscles for explosive output. The predatory calculus is complete. Kinetic release is imminent. The kinetic chain erupts, unleashing the absolute pinnacle of terrestrial speed. The cheetah's hyperflexible spine coils and fires like a biological spring, launching it over 7 meters in a single fluid bound. Burning fiercely on anaerobic metabolism, the cheetah is racing its own biology. The sensory network shatters. A massive surge of cortisol triggers an instant flight response. The peaceful grazing collective violently dissolves into a storm of erratic, high-speed trajectories. But the savannah's math is ruthlessly pragmatic. To secure its genetic future, the herd actively abandons the slough. The mother and her neonate are left exposed, the unavoidable ecological toll. Still encased within the amniotic membrane, the neonate is ecologically anchored, a static target devoid of any kinetic defense. The cheetah strikes, a flawless execution of predatory geometry, capitalizing on the ultimate biological vulnerability. But savanna ecology is profoundly non-linear. An olive baboon intercepts the sequence, driven not by interspecies altruism, but by complex territorial aggression. This dominant primate actively disrupts the apex predator's focus. An adult baboon intervenes. This is not interspecies empathy, but preemptive predator harassment. The primate views the cheetah as a threat to its own troop, using its 2-inch canines to actively drive the feline out of its foraging ground. Built exclusively for speed, the cheetah possesses a highly fragile anatomy. According to optimal foraging theory, fighting about guided by primal instinct, the newborn takes its first wobbly steps. It drinks the colostrum, a biological liquid gold packed with maternal antibodies, gifting its fragile immune system the ultimate armor for the life ahead. As the golden hour bathes the plains, the relentless heat of the savannah surrenders to dusk. Nature declares a quiet, fleeting truce. For today, the fragile pulse of life has triumphed. Under the fading light, they are safe. Nature's most breathtaking landscapes often hide the deadliest arenas. The Chilishman River Valley, a fortress of stone carved by ancient ice. Beneath these towering cliffs, life finds a rhythm. Summer brings a burst of energy to the valley, but the season is brief, urging every creature to make the most of it. In this vast landscape, success belongs to those who know how to adapt and thrive. A sounder of wild boars is busy at work. For them, the dry earth holds a hidden feast. Using their powerful snouts as living plows, they easily unearth nutrient-rich roots hidden below. In the natural world, serenity is fragile, and the atmosphere can shift in a single heartbeat. The water is a lifeline, but the river's edge is a deadly lottery. Submerged in the shallows, a master of camouflage waits in absolute silence. Further along the riverbank, the valley reveals a softer side. For an expecting lioness, the peaceful shallows provide a quiet sanctuary to prepare for new life. Bringing new life into this unforgiving wilderness is an exhausting physical trial. Every muscle strains as her body prepares to deliver the next generation of Altai's kings. A primal roar breaks the silence. The storm of labor passes, replaced by a profound maternal instinct. Taking their very first breaths, the newborns are immediately comforted by the coarse, reassuring strokes of their mother's tongue. As the weeks pass in the valley, the cubs have transformed from fragile newborns into robust apprentices. Resting in the cool shallows, the lioness gently grooms her young. For the tiger family, play is survival. Each pounce hones their deadly ambush skills. A herd of wildebeests grazes peacefully in the open valley. They rely on hundreds of eyes and ears for a collective defense. But the tall summer grass provides a false sense of security. They are entirely oblivious to the phantom watching from the shadows. Raising growing cubs demands a staggering amount of energy. To sustain her family, the tigress must now put her deadly skills to the ultimate test. She begins her calculated advance. Her striped coat acts as disruptive camouflage, breaking up her outline. Specialized soft pads on her paws absorb every footfall, allowing her to move like a ghost through the brittle brush. Beneath her skin, powerful muscles coil like tightly wound springs, storing immense kinetic energy for the final explosive sprint. The margin for error is absolute zero. Wildebeests possess highly evolved sensory networks. A single alarm snort from a sentinel triggers an instantaneous chain reaction. A sudden shift in the wind, a snapped twig, the fragile piece is instantly shattered. Panic spreads like a biological wildfire. Pure survival instinct takes over, launching hundreds of bodies into a chaotic yet synchronized stampede. Thousands of hooves pound the baked earth, kicking up a massive smokescreen of dust. This is a deliberate defense mechanism designed to confuse the predator's visual tracking. Beneath the lioness's skin, powerful muscles coil like tightly wound springs, storing immense kinetic energy for the final explosive sprint. The margin for error is absolute zero. In this blinding rush, speed is the wildebeest's only shield. The valley echoes with the thunder of survival as the wildebeests race to outrun death itself. The valley erupts into absolute chaos. A frantic stampede of wildebeests tears across the plains. Breaking cover, the lioness unleashes her full, terrifying speed. The herd's collective defense shatters into an every animal for itself scramble. Desperate hooves pound the earth, trying to outrun the inevitable. But one will not be fast enough. The gap closes. Lethal claws dig deep into thick hide. The lioness securely latches onto the massive prey. The struggle sends a shockwave across the Chulishman Valley. The surrounding wildlife stands paralyzed, silent witnesses to the harsh, unforgiving reality of the food chain. Time in the Altai Mountains seems to stand entirely still. Overhead, scavenging eagles circle in anticipation. A precise, suffocating bite to the windpipe delivers a swift end. The hunt is over. The energy of the fallen wildebeest will now sustain a new generation. As the lioness claims her hard-won kill, the brutal balance of the wilderness is restored. Driven by maternal instinct, the lioness swiftly carries the vital nourishment back to the safety of her den. For the growing cubs, this meal is an invaluable infusion of life. The fresh meat delivers crucial proteins required to build strong muscles and wire their predatory instincts. Here in the Chulishman Valley, the tragic fall of one creature sustains the legacy of another, honoring the ruthless yet beautiful cycle of the wild. As the sun finally dips below the rugged peaks of the Altai, the chaotic dust of the hunt has settled, replaced by a profound, heavy silence. The valley breathes once more. But in this unforgiving wilderness, every sunset is just a brief pause in the wild's eternal, beautiful cycle of life and death. Stretching along the eastern coast of Africa is Tanzania, a land dominated by the vast, sun-baked plains of the savannah. Beneath the relentless heat, life carries on in a quiet rhythm, creating a fragile illusion of absolute peace. The antelopes are already on the move, Gliding effortlessly across the vast plains, their journey is a picture of quiet grace. With slender frames shaped by nature, every leap is light and rhythmic, moving in perfect harmony with the pulse of the earth. Not far away, a vast procession moves gently across the plains. The wildebeest. The rumble of their hooves sounds like the heartbeat of the earth, an eternal, peaceful cycle. Flowing with relentless grace, these wild waters carve a deep rift across the earth, a line of destiny they cannot refuse. For beneath its mesmerizing flow, a deadly test quietly waits. Right in the river, the apex predator is already in position, a giant crocodile. It doesn't chase, it calculates. Hidden beneath the murky surface, it waits for one fatal mistake. It doesn't chase, it calculates. Hidden beneath the murky surface, it waits for one fatal mistake. Thousands of wildebeest and antelopes crowd the steep, muddy banks, driven by an ancient urge to migrate, yet paralyzed by the raw, violent power of the surging currents. Panic ripples through the ranks. But the raging water is only a distraction. Below the surface, an ancient syndicate has formed, a congregation of giant crocodiles. Cold-blooded and perfectly adapted, they conserve every ounce of energy. Camouflaged against the riverbed, they form a living minefield. The ultimate ambush is set. Tension reaches a breaking point. It only takes one pioneer to shatter the hesitation. Instantly, blind herd mentality takes over. Hundreds launch themselves into the treacherous currents, completely unaware that they are jumping straight into the jaws of death. It is a chaotic frenzy of flailing hooves and panicked cries. Biologically, their hollow hair provides natural buoyancy, a vital adaptation for river crossings. But buoyancy offers no defense against what waits below. The churning rapids mask the silent, deadly approach of the apex predators. For the herd, the only focus is the opposite bank, but every second fighting the current drains their stamina. Blinded by the splashing white water and deafened by the roar of the herd, their keen senses are rendered utterly useless. They are swimming blind, offering the perfect cover for a prehistoric strike. They fight desperately to survive, but in this unforgiving river, their sheer will to live is leading them straight into the jaws of death. And the giant crocodiles do not rush. They are masters of calculating energy. There is no turning back. Propelled by the sheer weight of the endless herd behind them, thousands pour into the river like a living waterfall of flesh and bone. The water becomes instantly choked with bodies in panic. It is a spectacle of mass desperation, and for the waiting prehistoric giants, this is no longer a hunt. It is a feast delivered right to their domain. The giant crocodiles let the river do the heavy lifting. The trap has been sprung. In this brutal theater of nature, not everyone will make it to the other side. Panic erupts. The illusion of safety shatters as the river reveals its true nature. Beneath the surface, the strike is clinical and devastating. giant crocodiles target the slender legs of their prey. A calculated tactic to instantly disable mobility, dragging them into the suffocating depths. The river turns into a boiling cauldron of predator and prey. With jaws exerting tons of pressure, the crocodiles lock on. The antelopes fight with every ounce of their being, but in this aquatic arena, raw, evolutionary power favors the reptiles. While some fall, the vast majority push forward. With one last surge, they scramble up the banks, escaping the river of death. The onslaught is relentless. The giant crocodiles execute the notorious death roll, a brutal display of biomechanical perfection. The will to live can defy the odds. In the savage theater of the savannah, surviving today is the ultimate victory. The crossing is over for these fortunate few. They have run the gauntlet and cheated death with the heavy physical toll of survival. Safety is a temporary luxury. Here, on solid ground, the herd enters a crucial phase of recovery. Families reunite. Mothers gently nuzzle their calves, verifying their survival through scent and touch. There is no time to look back, no time to mourn the fallen. In the relentless rhythm of the savannah, grief is an anchor the hunted cannot afford to carry. There is a profound resilience in this stillness. For these animals, healing is not a medical process, but a silent act of endurance. They rest not to linger, but to prepare for the miles still ahead. Soon, the chaotic energy is replaced by the peaceful, rhythmic sound of grazing. Eating is more than sustenance. It is a grounding mechanism. Each bite of grass helps rebuild depleted energy reserves and restores the tranquil rhythm of the herd. There is a profound resilience in this stillness. For these animals, healing is not a medical process, but a silent act of endurance. They rest not to linger, but to prepare for the miles still ahead. Instinct commands them to keep moving. To fall behind the herd is to invite the deadly attention of land predators. Their sheer resilience is the true masterpiece of evolution. As the golden hour descends, the African sun casts a warm, forgiving light over this harsh landscape. As the golden hour descends, the African sun casts a warm, forgiving light over this harsh landscape. Today, the river exacted its toll, nourishing the apex reptiles lurking below, but the herd endures. The Great Migration continues, an eternal cycle of sacrifice and survival, marching ever forward into the fading light. Dawn breaks over the African savannah, igniting a timeless crucible of life. Peace is merely a fleeting illusion, and survival is a currency earned by the second. The wildebeest begin their restless harvest. They are the chaotic engine of these plains, dynamic lawnmowers transforming dust into life. The giraffe, an evolutionary masterpiece. By conquering the canopy, they exploit resources untouched by rivals, operating as the savannah's living watchtowers. In this empire, a war is coming. A zebra's stripes are not for beauty. They are a calculated defense, a blinding canvas of motion dazzle, designed to shatter a predator's depth perception. A few miles away, the river provides a brief sanctuary. Spotted hyenas, often misunderstood as mindless scavengers, they are, in fact, one of Africa's most successful and highly intelligent predators. Here, in the water, they lower their core body temperature. It's not just play, it's preparation. But the hyenas' downtime abruptly ends. A shift in the breeze carries the scent of opportunity. Led by an alpha female, the clan locks onto their target. Their awkward gait is deeply deceptive. They aren't built for a quick sprint. They are relentless pursuit predators, engineered to run their prey into the ground. Blissfully unaware, the zebras continue their slow, rhythmic march. There is no tension here, just a peaceful drift across the wild plains. The hyenas halt. Now, the hunt begins. Oblivious to the eyes burning into them, the striped sentinels march on. Total silence, no iconic laughter. The hyenas use subtle ear flicks and body language to orchestrate their next move. The predators slip into the dry brush. Their spotted coats, acting as disruptive coloration, melt perfectly into the dappled shadows. They become ghosts in the grass. The zebra's pace slows. The heat breeds a false sense of security. The trap is set. The hyenas fan out, forming a wide crescent. A classic flanking maneuver to cut off escape routes. They don't need the perfect ambush. They just need panic. Once they force the zebras to scatter, the illusion breaks, and the hyenas will run their chosen target to absolute exhaustion. Muscles coil, hearts race. The savannah holds its breath as the hyenas prepare to unleash chaos. In a split second, the silence shatters as the hyenas break cover and charge towards the zebras. The zebras continue to graze. Each mouthful of grass drops their line of sight, anchoring them to the earth while danger coils just out of view. Suddenly, the hyenas surge forward. They launch their assault, closing the gap with terrifying efficiency. There is no roar, only the rapid thud of paws hitting the dry earth. A shift in the acoustic landscape alerts the zebras. Swiveling ears catch the approaching threat, and in an instant, grazing turns to flight. As the zebras sprint, their stripes merge into a dizzying wave of optical distortion, designed to confuse the hyenas' visual tracking. But the hyenas do not push for maximum speed. They settle into a rhythmic, relentless pursuit. Pounding across the plains, the zebras sprint for survival. The hyenas, built for unparalleled stamina, simply maintain their pace, slowly chipping away at the gap. The zebras push their massive lungs to the limit, pounding across the savannah in a desperate bid for distance. Believing they have gained enough ground, the zebras abruptly halt. They turn to observe and rely on their sharp eyesight to measure the remaining danger. It is a fatal miscalculation. The hyenas crest the ridge, bringing them right into striking range. Panic sets in. The zebras freeze. They stand completely still, locked in a state of high-stress paralysis. The hyenas complete their maneuver. The crescent closes into a tight circle, and the zebras are surrounded. The hyenas strike. They do not aim for the throat. They target the hind legs. A brutal tactic designed to cripple the zebra's mobility. Every bite is a calculated attempt to anchor a 1,000-pound animal to the earth. The savannah watches. To them, the zebra's fight means one thing: The hyenas are occupied, and the plains are temporarily safe. But the zebras are far from defenseless. Driven by pure adrenaline, they fight back. A zebra's hind kick delivers over 2,000 pounds of force, enough to instantly shatter a predator's skull. They group together, turning their defensive panic into an offensive wall of striking hooves and snapping teeth. The math changes. Facing an unacceptable risk of severe injury, the hyena's assault is broken. The wild absorbs the violence, remaining entirely indifferent to the struggles of its inhabitants. Silence slowly reclaims the landscape. Beaten and exhausted, the hyenas retreat. In the wild, every hunt is an economic equation. When the cost of energy and the risk of physical damage outweigh the reward, predators must yield. They walk away with empty stomachs, preserving their lives for the next pursuit. For the zebras, survival comes with a price. They gather to tend to the injured. This behavior, known as allogrooming, is about much more than cleaning wounds. The physical contact releases endorphins, lowering their heart rates and rapidly neutralizing the trauma of the battle. Their social bond is the true key to their resilience. As the sun dips below the horizon, the temperature drops, and the rules of the savannah transform. Day transitions to dusk, painting the sky in fiery hues. The failing light will soon strip the zebras of their visual advantage. It is a brief moment of tranquility, the closing chapter of today's crucible. Welcome to the biological engine of the tropics. Here, the flora is heavily armored. Scattered, drought-resistant canopies employ deep taproots and modified cellular structures to hoard moisture against extreme evaporation. Across the open plains, massive herds of herbivores engage in a continuous harvest. They operate as mobile bioreactors, using multi-chambered stomachs to convert indigestible cellulose into metabolic fuel. This piece is a defensive mechanism. Eyes on the sides of their heads provide a 360-degree visual radar, while massive herd numbers drastically reduce the probability of an individual falling prey. Navigating this exposed ecosystem requires a distinct biomechanical strategy. Baboons utilize specialized quadrupedal locomotion, engineering their musculoskeletal framework to endure prolonged exposure and traverse vast distances across the open plains. Their primary defense is not camouflage, but complex social architecture. The troop operates as a highly coordinated security grid, governed by a strict hierarchy to regulate internal stress and efficiently distribute resources. As opportunistic omnivores, they are built for metabolic efficiency. Equipped with specialized cheek pouches, they rapidly harvest and store calories from grass corms to invertebrates, minimizing their time in vulnerable foraging postures. For the baboon, the troop itself is the ultimate biological fortress against the savannah. The savannah's apex guild operates on strict energetic partitioning. Leopards utilize fast-twitch muscle fibers for solitary, short-range ambushes. Lions leverage collective mass and explosive kinetic bursts to overpower heavy targets. In stark contrast, the spotted hyena engineers a completely different metabolic strategy.
The spotted hyena is an elite cursorial hunter. Contradicting the scavenger myth, their skeletal anatomy, featuring an angled spine and robust forequarters, is mechanically optimized to minimize caloric expenditure over extreme distances. For juvenile baboons, play is strictly physiological. It is an evolutionary rehearsal, hardwiring the motor skills and spatial awareness required for savanna survival. A solitary hyena registers this neural activity. Despite possessing a bone-crushing bite force of 1100 psi, it triggers a rigid risk assessment matrix rather than a blind ambush. The juveniles remain securely within the troop's defensive perimeter. Adult male baboons, armed with canine teeth longer than a leopard's, form a lethal biological barrier. Hunting here demands absolute geometric discipline. The hyena anchors itself at the boundary, conserving calories, waiting for a single spatial error to fracture the troop's integrity. The hyena's neural circuitry temporarily suppresses its predatory drive. Engaging a cohesive primate troop presents a mathematically unviable risk of catastrophic injury. The hyena operates on a strict metabolic budget. By anchoring in the thermal shadows, it conserves core energy while its auditory cortex continuously scans the troop's perimeter for statistical anomalies.
It is a biological weapon, fully primed for the strike, requiring only a single sensory trigger to unleash its kinetic payload.
The prey's panic could instantly trigger a coordinated counterattack from the adults. Patience eventually yields a geometric reward. A juvenile breaches the safety radius, severing its direct line of sight with the alpha sentinels. The biological fortress has fractured. The wait is over. The hyena initiates a complex acoustic protocol. It emits a low-frequency vocalization optimized to bypass atmospheric distortion. This signal traverses the savannah, triangulating its coordinates and summoning the clan's strike force. For the maternal baboon, carrying a juvenile introduces severe parasitic drag. The added mass disrupts her locomotor efficiency, accelerating cardiovascular fatigue.
The maternal baboon's center of gravity is critically shifted, forcing her core musculature into overdrive to maintain balance during high-speed evasion. Simultaneously, physical contact with the infant restricts thermal dissipation, driving the mother's core temperature toward critical limits with every stride. On open ground, the evolutionary mismatch is exposed. The hyena pack operates as an aerobic engine, utilizing their oversized lungs to process massive volumes of oxygen, turning the chase into a calculated war of physiological attrition. The savannah's hardened terrain becomes a hostile variable in this high-speed pursuit. Unpredictable microtopography drastically elevates the probability of a fatal kinematic failure. This is not a chaotic sprint, it is active vector control. The pack deploys a pincer movement, dynamically adjusting their pursuit angles to cut off all spatial trajectories and completely isolate the target. The baboon's fast-twitch muscle fibers cross the critical anaerobic threshold. Lactic acid floods her system, systematically impairing motor neuron functions. Her physical collapse is now dictated purely by cellular chemistry. With ATP reserves critically depleted, the electrochemical signals misfire. Every subsequent stride exponentially loses velocity, finalizing a mechanical deceleration that cannot be reversed. Cornered by the hyena pack, the geometric trap strictly closes around the mother and infant baboon. Cortisol saturates the primate's bloodstream as flight transitions into a futile defensive stand. In the savannah's unforgiving algorithm, this transfer of biomass is now mathematically inevitable. The acoustic distress signals have not dissipated in the void. Driven by the evolutionary imperative of kin selection, the main primate troop converges. This is not altruism. It is the ruthless protection of shared genetic material. Alpha male baboons spearhead the counteroffensive. Armed with razor-sharp canines measuring up to 2 inches, surpassing those of an adult leopard, they deploy a formidable biological arsenal. The baboon troop initiates aggressive mobbing, a coordinated tactical assault designed to overwhelm the hyena's sensory processing. Completely overpowered by the baboon's collective biological arsenal, the hyenas are definitively defeated. The hyenas scramble in a desperate sprint, burning their final metabolic reserves to evade fatal lacerations from the alpha male baboons. The baboon's geometric fortress is aggressively re-established, and the transfer of biomass is definitively denied. The baboons must now purge the toxic levels of cortisol from their neural pathways. To achieve this, they engage in allogrooming, a highly evolved social mechanism that triggers the rapid release of oxytocin and endorphins, chemically restoring homeostasis. This tactile interaction transcends hygiene. It is the structural glue of their primate architecture. By reinforcing these interpersonal bonds, they solidify the exact geometric matrix that just saved their lineage. Their true apex weapon is not their canines, but their synchronized neurobiology. For the defeated hyena pack, there is no psychological mourning, only severe physiological consequence. The aborted pursuit has critically depleted their hepatic glycogen stores. Lactic acid pools in their overexerted muscle tissues, and the sudden crash in adrenaline leaves them mechanically sluggish. They must now navigate the hostile terrain with a heavily compromised energy budget. Spanning across the equator lies a biological engine that has run uninterrupted for over 50 million years. Welcome to the tropical forest. Driven by constant equatorial temperatures, the rapid cycle of growth and decay transforms this ecosystem into the most productive biome on Earth. It is a theater of quiet prosperity. Apex predators emerge through the foliage, moving with biomechanical precision, where dense flora amplifies the slightest rustle. Each footstep is calculated to erase all acoustic signatures. Terrestrial herbivores emerge through the foliage, moving with biomechanical efficiency. In a biome where noise attracts danger, each footstep is carefully calculated to minimize acoustic signatures. Here, the predator and the hunted are locked in a continuous evolutionary arms race, acting as a biological regulator that maintains the complex rhythm of the jungle. In these tannin-rich aquatic arteries where optical visibility is rendered obsolete, aquatic organisms rely entirely on specialized mechanoreceptors to decode microscopic fluid displacements, mastering this turbid environment through a highly evolved hydroacoustic awareness. In these turbid depths, the red-bellied piranha operates as a specialized opportunistic predator. Evolved olfactory pits decode the water chemistry, isolating blood-borne amino acids at a mere 1 part per million. Their anatomy is a masterpiece of lethal biomechanics. Hypertrophied jaw muscles drive interlocking tricuspid teeth. This architecture generates bite forces 30 times their weight, applying catastrophic shear stress to sever tissue and bone in milliseconds. Biologically, their dense schooling acts as a defensive matrix. Yet, this formation harbors a latent, highly coordinated potential, constantly scanning the turbid water for acoustic or chemical anomalies. Moving as a synchronized superorganism, they process low-frequency hydrodynamic shifts. The swarm maintains absolute discipline, acting as a dormant strike force waiting for the precise environmental trigger. Even while simply patrolling, they assert their role as the river's ultimate biological regulators. Their continuous presence ensures ecosystem stability, a dormant engine prepared to process any organic biomass the currents may bring. To navigate these dense aquatic arteries, the school utilizes advanced fluid dynamics. By moving in a synchronized lattice, trailing individuals exploit the slipstream, minimizing hydrodynamic drag and conserving vital metabolic energy during extended patrols. Above the waterline, the riparian zone forms a critical ecotone, a biological frontier where terrestrial and aquatic biomes collide. Organisms here enter a state of calculated dormancy. They utilize solar radiation to optimize muscle enzyme efficiency, preloading their biomechanical systems for explosive kinetic output. Dominating this ecotone is the crocodile. Currently, it engages in ectothermic thermoregulation, utilizing highly vascularized osteoderms to absorb solar radiation. This process elevates its core metabolic rate, priming muscle enzymes for peak kinetic output. Submerging triggers a physiological lockdown. A cardiac shunt isolates oxygen solely for the brain, while precise lung compression achieves perfect neutral buoyancy. The crocodile vanishes into the strike zone. Gliding through the turbid water, the crocodile breaches a critical biological boundary. A microscopic epidermal tear releases a chemical signature of blood-borne amino acids, directly shattering the piranha's sensory threshold. The dormant piranha formation instantly weaponizes. Guided by hydrodynamic tracking, the fish bypass the crocodile's dense osteoderms, hyper-focusing their assault on unarmored vulnerabilities, the eyes, cloaca, and soft connective tissues. The piranha's assault is a relentless mechanical shredding process. Hundreds of hypertrophied jaws apply catastrophic shear stress to the crocodile, executing a high-speed rotational mechanism to systematically extract flesh in milliseconds. The crocodile's violent anaerobic thrashing induces rapid lactic acidosis. As its internal oxygen reserves completely collapse, the reptile is dismantled, ruthlessly processed by the piranhas, the river's ultimate biological incinerators. In a matter of minutes, the massive crocodilian is reduced to skeletal remnants. Its dense biomass is entirely assimilated into the piranha's metabolic network, a hyper-efficient transfer of organic energy. This violent dismantling is not an act of malice, but a critical ecological function. By processing the apex predator, the piranha swarm redistributes vital bionutrients back into the aquatic food web. The turbid waters return to a state of active tranquility. In this ruthless biome, survival is dictated by biomechanical perfection, where every end is simply the biological catalyst for a new beginning. Dawn breaks across the savannah, awakening a vast, interconnected superorganism. Here, mega-herbivores like the African elephant act as ecological architects, their immense physical presence shaping the very terrain, pulling down trees and opening up the dense brush. The cheetah, an apex predator wrapped in a cloak of complex optical illusions. Its beautifully clustered rosettes act as disruptive camouflage, perfectly mimicking the dappled shadows of the acacia canopy and the dry golden grass. The crosshairs fall upon a herd of impala. These hyper-alert ungulates are built for erratic evasion, possessing a remarkable power-to-weight ratio designed to frustrate almost any terrestrial pursuer. But their movements are being actively decoded by the savannah's ultimate biomechanical speedster, the cheetah. It is not merely watching the herds, it is analyzing them, calculating wind direction, isolating the weakest link, and patiently waiting for the perfect microsecond to strike from the shadows. Once the target is locked, the meticulous stalk begins. Utilizing the terrain's microtopography, she keeps her profile strictly below the grass line. Her specialized free-floating collarbones allow her to glide over the dry earth with ghost-like fluidity, systematically closing the lethal gap. The critical proximity is breached. The cheetah ignites. This is raw, explosive biomechanics in action. Semi-non-retractable claws dig into the baked earth like track spikes, providing maximum kinetic traction to translate sheer muscular power into devastating forward velocity. The impala reacts in milliseconds. It does not attempt to outrun the apex sprinter in a straight line, a biologically impossible feat. Instead, it relies on erratic, extreme lateral evasion. By executing razor-sharp zigzags, the impala forces the predator to constantly recalculate its trajectory. Every violent turn bleeds the feline's momentum, demanding a massive, draining surge of metabolic energy to reaccelerate. chase enters its most punishing phase. At over 60 miles per hour, the cheetah's enlarged nasal passages and lungs gorge on oxygen, while her flexible spine coils and uncoils, launching her up to 25 feet in a single, suspended stride. Before the dust can even settle, the cheetah secures the trachea, a suffocatus. The lethal sprint is over, but the cheetah's immediate biological priority is not consumption, it is recovery. Her core temperature has spiked to a critical 40 degrees Celsius. If she doesn't aggressively pant to expel this internal heat, she risks irreversible neurological damage. She must cool down before she can even swallow. Once her physiology stabilizes, the coalition joins her. They feed with frantic, nervous efficiency, instinctively targeting the nutrient-dense organs first. Every mouthful is a race against the wind, which is already broadcasting the scent of fresh blood across the plains. High within the protective embrace of the acacia canopy, the leopard finally consumes its hard-earned metabolic prize. Completely acquired for the vertical haul, has deeply depleted its energy reserves, demanding an immediate and sustained physiological recovery. As the golden light of dusk equatorial across the dry earth horizon, the frantic pulse of the day begins to settle into the cold, yields silent vigilance of the shadowed breath the nocturnal sacrifice sustains the predator seamlessly over the predator branches. The solitary phantom closes its eyes, concluding a brutal day of survival in a kingdom where peace is the ultimate luxury. Here, life does not simply exist, it marches, and the wildebeest are the undeniable pulse of these plains. Gathered by the millions, they are driven by an ancient, inescapable biological clock. Right now, it dictates only one thing: refuel. In this shimmering heat, the herd appears entirely at peace. Their synchronized grazing engineers the savannah. By stripping the coarse stalks, they return vital nutrients to the exhausted earth. But on the savannah, peace is merely an illusion, a brief, fragile pause before the hunters awaken. Out here, a single misstep is a fatal liability. There is no compassion in the wild. In the brutal calculus of survival, the vulnerable simply become an involuntary shield for the strong. The savannah is not at peace. It is merely holding its breath. In the oppressive midday heat, the apex predators of the savannah appear remarkably subdued. A pride can sleep up to 20 hours a day. It is not lethargy, but a highly evolved strategy of energy conservation. But hunger is a persistent alarm clock, and the matriarchs are always the first to answer its call. Her amber eyes possess 6 times the light sensitivity of a human. She is not just observing, she is calculating distance and isolating the vulnerable. Every subtle shift in the wind is analyzed to mask her scent, and every tuft of dry grass is mapped as potential cover. The rest of the world fades away, leaving only the precise geometry of the impending ambush. A few hundred yards away, the wildebeest remain anchored in a false sense of security. The wind sweeps across the plains, carrying their scent directly to the predators, masking the danger downwind. The lion's muscles stretch, preparing for anaerobic bursts of speed. Every member of the pride instinctively understands their role in the complex geometry of the ambush. The syndicate is mobilized. The savannah is a theater of profound indifference. The sun beats down on the dry earth, oblivious to the drama about to unfold. In this vast arena, survival is dictated by mere inches and fractions of a second. Yet, beneath this tranquil facade, nature remains ruthlessly impartial. It takes no sides. It merely provides the stage for the drama ahead. The script has already been written by millions of years of evolution. All that is left is the execution. And on this stage, the opening act is about to be written in dust and instinct. And the lead predator is already in position. The lead lioness utilizes the sun-bleached grass as a perfect cloak of invisibility. Walking on her toes, she minimizes contact with the dry foliage. Her shoulder blades absorb the impact, ensuring complete silence. She becomes a ghost in the grass. Head lowered to the earth, the wildebeest's field of vision is drastically reduced, a fatal blind spot. The lioness must close the gap to within 30 yards. She presses her belly flat against the scorching earth, exploiting every minor depression in the terrain to stay completely out of sight. Suddenly, a shift in behavior. The chewing stops. The ears flick forward. Has a shifting breeze betrayed the hunters, or is it an instinctual premonition carved by millions of years of evolution? The tension becomes palpable. The silence is deafening. The lioness knows her cover is blown. Stealth must now be traded for explosive power. Her massive hind legs engage, propelling her forward with terrifying acceleration. The ambush is over. In a fraction of a second, the lioness's heart rate doubles, flooding her muscles with oxygen for the ultimate sprint. Her entire being is locked onto the target. From here on out, the slightest hesitation will turn a perfect ambush into total failure. The ancient dance of predator and prey has officially begun. The savannah shatters. Panic seizes the lone wildebeest, triggering a desperate flight for survival. The lioness erupts from the sun-scorched grass. At full sprint, she covers 50 feet a second. Her spine flexes like a coiled spring, maximizing each explosive stride. This is a deadly high-stakes race against her own rapidly rising body temperature. A collective wave of panic ripples through the herd, turning thousands of individuals into a single, fleeing organism. Panic seizes the lone wildebeest, triggering a desperate flight for survival. For the wildebeest, survival is brutally simple. You don't have to be the fastest in the herd, you just can't be the slowest. The swirling dust and a maze of galloping hooves are a defensive mechanism, designed to disorient the predator's focus. The gap closes. The impact is catastrophic. The lioness uses her formidable weight, nearly 300 pounds of pure muscle, and momentum to unbalance the fleeing wildebeest, grounding the heavy herbivore with calculated precision. The wildebeest's struggle inevitably subsides. The lioness clamps her powerful jaws over the prey's windpipe, applying hundreds of pounds of pressure to induce a swift, oxygen-deprived end to the ancient chase. This exhausting hunt is a triumph, securing a massive influx of calories, enough vital protein to sustain the lionesses for several days. The scent of a fresh wildebeest kill travels fast, acting as a beacon for opportunistic scavengers like hyenas and vultures. For now, however, the lion pride has earned its feast, metabolizing this vital energy to fuel the next generation of apex predators. The lion pride's feast begins. Nothing goes to waste on the savannah. To access the nutrient-rich meat, the lionesses must first breach the wildebeest's tough hide. They utilize specialized carnassial teeth at the back of their jaws, acting like biological shears to slice through thick skin and muscle with devastating efficiency. The hunters instinctively target the nutrient-dense internal organs first, the liver, heart, and kidneys, extracting maximum vitamins and trace minerals essential for their survival in this harsh environment. An adult lioness can consume up to a quarter of her own body weight in a single sitting. Her highly acidic stomach is perfectly adapted to rapidly digest massive quantities of raw protein, neutralizing potential pathogens found in the wild meat. As the pride gorges themselves, they are inadvertently preparing the carcass for the ecosystem's secondary consumers. Vultures and hyenas circle the perimeter, waiting for their turn at the ecological table. The wildebeest's sacrifice is converted into vital energy, ensuring the reign of these apex predators continues over this golden realm for another day. Mere hundreds of yards from the kill site, a jarring tranquility reclaims the savannah. The surviving wildebeest herd transitions instantly from primal panic to serene indifference. This rapid emotional reset is not callousness, but a vital evolutionary adaptation. Herbivores cannot afford to expend precious calories on lingering stress. In this wild kingdom, death is merely a brief interruption to the relentless rhythm of life. As the earth shifts its axis, the Serengeti sheds the heavy cloak of night. Dawn here is not merely a sunrise. It is a biological trigger. The sudden spike in thermal radiation resets the survival clock of millions. For the grazers, the first light offers a fleeting illusion of safety, but in this 3-million-year-old theater, visibility is a double-edged sword. Driven by an ancient biological imperative, an expectant female severs her ties with the safety of the mass. The first contractions have begun. Every ancient instinct now focuses on the imminent birth, preparing her body for the most vulnerable moment on the savannah. Yet, giving birth alone is the savannah's ultimate gamble. The rush of amniotic fluid releases a potent chemical beacon, drifting miles downwind. The delivery is complete, but the physical transition is still underway. The newborn foal remains partially encased in the amniotic sac. This translucent membrane, which provided vital protection inside the womb, must now be shed. The mother acts instinctively to assist her offspring. She focuses directly on the tissue surrounding the foal's head. By licking and gently nipping at the membrane, she uncovers the face, ensuring the foal can comfortably take its first full breaths of air. The The foal's instinctive drive to stand serves a vital biomechanical function here. As it extends its long legs and pushes upward, gravity and the weight of the fluid-soaked tissue work together with the foal's movement. This combined mechanical tension stretches and breaks the membrane, systematically peeling it completely away from the coat and freeing the hind legs for mobility. The first touch is gentle, yet driven by absolute urgency. By meticulously cleaning her foal, the mother isn't just showing affection, she is actively erasing the scent of birth, a vital countermeasure against predators that map this landscape by smell. Within minutes of taking its first breath, the foal faces its greatest test. It must conquer gravity. Its legs are disproportionately long, nearly adult-sized. This is not an accident of nature. It's an evolutionary masterpiece, engineered for immediate flight. As they nuzzle, an invisible, lifelong bond is forged. She deliberately stands between her foal and the rest of the world. In these quiet seconds, the newborn's brain takes a mental photograph, memorizing the unique barcode of its mother's stripes. The foal's initial steps are unsteady, but it adapts with remarkable speed. Zebras are a precocial species, born with a highly developed nervous system. Continuous walking forces blood into the foal's long legs, rapidly reinforcing the muscle coordination required to run. The mother dictates the pace, continuously assessing her foal's stamina. She is deliberately navigating her offspring out of the dense brush, taking the first calculated steps toward reuniting with the protective numbers of the herd. The shift in the wind carries the scent of the newborn foal across the savannah. A pride of lionesses intercepts this chemical signal. Their olfactory system is highly specialized, allowing them to determine the exact direction and approximate distance of their potential prey without visual confirmation. To close the distance undetected, the lionesses rely on physical adaptation. Their tawny coats blend seamlessly with the dry grass. They move in a coordinated formation, spreading out to flank the mother and her single foal. Soft, thick pads on the bottom of their paws absorb the impact of their weight, enabling them to navigate the dry terrain in near silence. The pride's strategy is dictated by their biology. Lions possess limited stamina for long pursuits, requiring them to minimize the distance before initiating a sprint. They collectively target the young foal, analyzing its unsteady movements and lack of top speed, identifying it as the highest probability target. The mother zebra continues to monitor her surroundings, but the lead lioness initiates the strike. Utilizing the massive fast-twitch muscle fibers in her hindquarters, she accelerates from a standstill to 60 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds. The zebra's sensitive ears catch the sound instantly. Panic ripples through the herd like a shockwave, and they immediately scatter in terror. But this frontal assault is a calculated trap. By triggering the stampede, The lioness is purposely herding the panicked zebras straight toward the rest of the pride waiting in ambush. In this blinding dust and chaos, the young foal has only one lifeline. It must perfectly copy its mother's every move, or be left behind. At top speed, the fleeing herd deploys its greatest natural defense, a visual illusion. As dozens of zebras sprint and weave together, their black and white stripes merge into a dizzying blur. This phenomenon, known as motion dazzle, makes it incredibly difficult for a chasing lion to judge speed, distance, or single out one individual. The choking dust of the dry savanna only deepens the predator's confusion. The pursuit forces the herd to the edge of a fast-flowing river. They are trapped between the approaching lions and the turbulent water. Driven by the immediate threat on land, the zebras make a calculated behavioral choice. Plunging into the treacherous current presents a statistically higher chance of survival. Entering the water instantly neutralizes their speed advantage. The dense current rapidly drains their stamina. Their hooves, evolved for traction on hard savanna soil, struggle to find stability on the slippery riverbed. The mass movement creates a bottleneck, pushing the animals deeper into the channel. This massive aquatic disturbance alerts a completely different apex predator. Nile crocodiles utilize specialized sensory receptors along their jaws to detect low-frequency vibrations in the water. They can pinpoint the exact location of the struggling zebras, moving in to intercept. Driven by sheer panic, they do not pause to defend themselves. They thrash violently, using their powerful muscles simply to break the water's resistance, their visual focus locked entirely on reaching the opposite bank. This reckless crossing is a brutal evolutionary calculation. By moving as a dense, chaotic mass at maximum physical exertion, they overwhelm the predator's ability to target effectively. Individual safety is temporarily sacrificed for the forward momentum of the group. Through pure physical endurance, the vast majority scramble up the bank, successfully escaping the aquatic threat. Safe on the opposite bank, the herd's collective heart rate begins to decelerate. The massive spike of adrenaline and cortisol required for the high-speed escape slowly dissipates from their bloodstreams. The river has acted as a ruthless evolutionary filter. Those remaining on this bank have successfully passed a rigorous test of physical endurance and spatial awareness. In the savanna ecosystem, peace is merely a temporary biological reset. Their sensory radars remain active, processing the wind for the next inevitable threat. The savanna is not merely a landscape, it is a thermodynamic engine. Here, sunlight is the primary currency, driving a relentless biological economy. For apex predators, hunting is not an act of malice, but a strict calculation, waiting for the exact moment to seize that energy with minimal caloric waste. On these plains, herbivores act as living energy converters, guarded by a hypersensitive sensory network. As midday solar radiation peaks, the savanna's thermodynamics drastically shift. Optically, this arid matrix appears as a static, lifeless void, but this profound emptiness is a physical illusion. To survive, the flora utilizes microphyllae, minimizing leaf surface areas to halt transpiration and lock in cellular moisture. Navigating this arid matrix, herbivores optimize metabolic efficiency. Warthogs target underground tubers. These roots act as biological vaults, storing essential water and starch. Their cartilaginous snouts function as specialized excavators. A lioness's massive muscular frame generates lethal internal heat. By entering a state of deep metabolic conservation, she is actively supercharging her fast-twitch muscle fibers with glycogen. She is banking explosive kinetic energy, waiting for the thermal waves to dissipate and the perfect acoustic blind spot to open. Driven by the pressure of caloric intake, the warthog's biological radar is neutralized. The friction of excavating dry earth creates an auditory mask, perfectly concealing the approaching predator. The lioness utilizes retractable claws and specialized digital pads to absorb shock, effectively muting her footfalls across the brittle terrain. Relying on disruptive coloration to blend with the sun-bleached grass, she calculates the critical strike distance while navigating strictly downwind, ensuring her olfactory signature is blown away from the prey. The acoustic mask drops. Propelled by an explosive contraction of fast-twitch muscle fibers, the lioness accelerates to 80 kilometers per hour. The warthog's head snaps up, instantly flooding its visual cortex with the reality of the ambush. Panic triggers a massive adrenaline dump. The warthog flees with its tail erect, a biological flag coordinating the herd's chaotic dispersal. It employs erratic lateral evasion to shatter the feline's linear momentum. Igniting a spectacular high-speed pursuit, the warthog leverages evasive stamina, while the lion's ambush-engineered anatomy rapidly hits the anaerobic threshold, flooding her muscles with debilitating lactic acid. Plunging straight into a deep subterranean hole, the warthog completely removes itself from the surface battlefield. By retreating into the dark depths, it secures a definitive spatial advantage. The lioness aggressively reaches down the pit, but a feline's retractable claws are engineered for surface grappling, not heavy excavation. Safe in the depths, the warthog expands its ribcage, wedging its body against the earthen walls with immense isometric force. The lioness reaches blindly into the dark shaft, desperate to hook her prey. But the warthog has retreated deeper, moving well beyond the maximum extension of the feline's forelimbs. Her specialized claws swipe at empty dirt, completely failing to make contact. Confronted by this stark anatomical limit, the apex predator is rendered entirely powerless. Unable to extract a target she cannot even reach, she absorbs the metabolic loss and walks away, defeated by the sheer depth of the earth. Only when the surface vibrations fade does the warthog break its subterranean silence. A cautious snout emerges first, performing a rigorous olfactory sweep to definitively confirm the predator's scent has dissipated. Stepping back into the fading light, the animal undergoes a rapid physiological reset. The parasympathetic nervous system engages, flushing out residual cortisol and decelerating a heart rate that was just pushed to its absolute biological limits. As the golden hour washes over the arid scrub, the brush with death is simply swallowed by the dusk. The cycle resets, and another day is won in this perfectly balanced, ruthless matrix.
Along the Alaska-Canada border, the winter taiga is not just a frozen wasteland. It is a crystalline acoustic battlefield. At -40 degrees, extreme air density completely alters the physics of sound. The frozen snowpack functions as a massive sensory web. Every footfall generates seismic microvibrations that carry for miles. To hunt in this labyrinth, predators must master the science of structural dampening. But this absolute stealth carries an exorbitant metabolic cost. For the mother lynx, delivering a kitten into a subarctic winter is a biological paradox. The newborn lynx emerges encased in amniotic fluid, facing instant, lethal hypothermia in the frigid air. Securing her kitten in the thermal safety of the den, the mother lynx steps back into the frozen void to hunt for crucial calories.
Navigating the frozen taiga, the mother lynx shifts into active predation. Her stalk is a masterclass in biomechanical fluid dynamics. She is in constant motion, yet completely tethered to the silence of the forest. Despite her mass, she moves like a phantom. Her oversized, densely furred paws function as biological snowshoes, maximizing surface area to minimize ground pressure, preventing the fragile snow crust from fracturing beneath her weight. Safely tucked away in the den, her kitten waits. It relies strictly on the combustion of brown adipose tissue, a localized biological furnace that staves off lethal hypothermia without the need for shivering. High above the frozen canopy, an apex aerial assassin owns the night. The great horned owl utilizes serrated feather edges to slice through aerodynamic turbulence, effectively erasing all acoustic frequencies of its flight. It doesn't rely on vision alone. Asymmetrical ear cavities triangulate the faintest micro-vibrations on the forest floor, locking onto a target's exact coordinates with mathematical precision before the prey even registers a threat.
While the mother lynx is miles away, a fatal biological misstep occurs. The kitten breaches the den's insulating barrier. The target is locked. Folding its wings to enter a free-fall dive, the owl strikes like a phantom. 4 needle-sharp talons pierce with crushing force, snatching the kitten from the snow and effortlessly carrying it into the frozen sky, leaving behind a deadly silence. The owl's flight path intersects with the diurnal apex predator, the golden eagle. In this frozen wasteland, calories are so scarce that the eagle engages in kleptoparasitism, the deliberate theft of another hunter's kill. Spotting the target with ultra-high-resolution vision, the eagle folds its wings into a ballistic dive. The kitten survives completely unharmed. Meanwhile, the aerial dogfight reaches its inevitable conclusion. Superior in sheer mass and kinetic power, the golden eagle completely overpowers the owl, claiming absolute dominance over the frozen sky. Guided by faint olfactory cues, the mother lynx finally tracks down her kitten. The reunion triggers a powerful surge of oxytocin. Stress hormones vanish as they restore their thermal bond, proving that in the brutal taiga, a mother's warmth is the ultimate sanctuary. Beyond the taiga, glacial peaks reflect solar radiation back into the atmosphere, locking the ecosystem in a permanent thermodynamic freeze. Yet, life here doesn't just endure the frost, it synchronizes with it. In this frozen world, survival is the ultimate triumph of biological engineering, achieving perfect equilibrium with the absolute cold. Bathed in the light of dawn, the savannah stands as a thriving architectural marvel. Billions of grass blades intercept the early rays, forming a dense, structurally complex canopy. It is a highly efficient biological engine, transforming this optimal light into a sprawling, impenetrable terrestrial labyrinth. The inhabitants of the savannah drift in quiet harmony, foraging within an illusion of perfect peace. Yet, this lush abundance weaves a formidable wall. The interwoven blades create a veil that completely swallows the line of sight. For these gentle wanderers, survival is the quiet art of navigating blind spots, an ecosystem woven entirely from physical concealment.
Down at the soil, lush abundance weaves a formidable wall. The interwoven blades create a veil that completely swallows the line of sight. For those who dwell in the undergrowth, survival is the quiet art of navigating blind spots. This is an ecosystem woven entirely from physical concealment.
Yet, every illusion of concealment shatters when observed from above. Taking to the vertical axis, the avian hunter glides effortlessly over the terrestrial wall. Through complex acoustic frequencies, unseen avian residents synchronize their ecological rhythms, weaving an invisible auditory grid across the canopy. Others engage in meticulous preening, realigning the microstructures of their feathers to restore absolute aerodynamic perfection. From harvesting dewdrops to gleaning seeds, they seamlessly integrate into the labyrinth. Each feathered silhouette finds its precise ecological niche, composing a gentle, breathing poetry of the morning savannah. While most avian predators rule from the sky, an evolutionary anomaly stalks the terrestrial matrix: the secretary bird. Standing over 1.2 meters tall, it has forfeited sustained flight for supreme bipedal locomotion. Its elongated tarsometatarsal bones act as biological pendulums, allowing it to stride gracefully across the dry grass patches with maximum thermodynamic efficiency. In a habitat where height dictates survival, its towering stature is a strategic advantage. It is a mobile, biological watchtower. The predatory gaze is locked. It utilizes binocular vision to calculate distance and depth with absolute geometric precision. Piercing through the sun-bleached stalks, These eyes filter out optical noise, searching for the slightest morphological anomaly hiding in the dust. This ceaseless patrol is driven by a critical metabolic deficit. Miles away, a nest of altricial chicks demands a constant influx of calories. To fuel their rapid cellular division, the parent must cover up to 30 kilometers a day, systematically scanning every inch of this unforgiving terrain. Failure to extract biomass means the collapse of the next generation.
The visual matrix yields no confirmed signature. The target remains elusive, yet its biological weaponry stays primed. Unlike other raptors, the secretary bird does not rely on its beak. Its evolutionary specialty is blunt force trauma. Its heavily scaled legs store a lethal reserve of latent kinetic energy. If triggered, they can deliver a localized impact equal to 5 times its own body weight in just 15 milliseconds. But without a locked spatial coordinate, this devastating physical shockwave is withheld. The energy transfer is postponed. The metabolic pressure on the parent continues to mount. With no biomatter secured, the relentless stride resumes. In the vast concealing geometry of the savannah, the secretary bird must constantly bridge the gap between infinite patience and impending starvation. It remains an apex predator bound to the earth, continuing its relentless scan of the plains, one calculated step at a time. The savannah is an ocean of kinetic noise. The breeze constantly manipulates the grass, generating thousands of false visual triggers. To avoid striking at phantoms, the secretary bird employs an advanced neurological filter. By processing structural frequencies, it isolates the chaotic rhythm of the wind from the deliberate, localized friction of a biological entity. The neurological filter finally isolates the ultimate target, a venomous snake. The friction of scales against dry earth provides exact spatial coordinates, allowing the secretary bird to calibrate its lethal kinetic strike. This is not mere prey. It is a living syringe loaded with hemotoxic venom. Detecting the avian predator, the serpent abandons camouflage for a kinetic defense. It coils its muscular geometry into a biological spring, loading maximum potential energy. Elevating its cranial structure, it establishes a mathematically precise lethal strike radius. The savannah plunges into an absolute thermodynamic stalemate. The secretary bird breaches the lethal zone. It unfurls its wings not for flight, but as optical decoys to disrupt the snake's thermal and visual tracking. In this high-stakes biomechanical duel, the first to miscalculate the millisecond reaction threshold will be consumed. Instead of an immediate assault, the secretary bird engages in precise reflex manipulation. It performs micro-feints, shifting its weight and rhythmically bobbing its cranial structure to constantly recalibrate its depth perception. The avian predator is intentionally testing the serpent's trigger threshold, attempting to provoke a premature strike. For the serpent, maintaining this coiled geometry demands an immense expenditure of cellular energy. Locked at peak kinetic tension, lactic acid rapidly floods its muscular spring. Every agonizing second of delay actively degrades its thermodynamic reserves. The living weapon is slowly breaking down from within, crushed by the sheer physical toll of its own defensive posture. Every calculated step is designed to measure the exact striking arc of those venomous fangs. By forcing the snake to remain coiled at maximum tension, the bird slowly drains its opponent's thermodynamic reserves. It is dismantling the biological spring, one agonizing second at a time. The snake strikes at blinding speed, but the secretary bird's reflexes outpace physical acceleration. Its chaotic wing shield absorbs the snake's venomous bite into harmless feathers. The secretary bird's legs become biological pistons. A flurry of strikes delivers kinetic shocks 5 times its body weight, instantly overwhelming the serpent's sensory network. One final kinetic transfer. The secretary bird delivers a precise vertical stomp to suppress all movement. The physical shockwave shuts down the central nervous system. The biological syringe is permanently neutralized. The secretary bird takes flight, carrying her hard-won prize to a canopy fortress, a massive nest heavily guarded by a thorny acacia. Inside this secure ecological cradle, the once lethal serpent is repurposed into vital protein, fueling the rapid growth of the savannah's next generation of apex predators. The scent of fresh protein rarely goes unnoticed. A new chemical signature drifts across the savannah, instantly intercepted by the highly evolved olfactory bulb of a honey badger. Guided by scent gradients, the honey badger tracks the biomatter directly to the base of the acacia. The tree's formidable thorns are structurally designed to repel climbers, but the badger possesses an evolutionary countermeasure. The honey badger's skin is a dermal marvel up to 6 millimeters thick and exceptionally loose, a biological armor rendering this creature virtually impervious to botanical defenses. Fueled by an insatiable hunger, the badger refuses to stop. The canopy fortress is under assault by the savannah's most relentless biological tank. The canopy fortress is not unguarded. Detecting the intrusion, the mother secretary bird initiates a defensive dive, weaponizing gravity itself. Spreading her massive 2-meter wingspan, she maximizes her visual profile to intimidate the honey badger. The second thermodynamic duel of the day begins. The honey badger relies on its thick dermal armor, but the secretary bird counters with relentless kinetic bombardment. A barrage of bipedal kicks directly targets the badger's compromised center of gravity. Battered by continuous kinetic shockwaves, the badger is forced to yield. Calculating the unsustainable caloric deficit of this conflict, the savannah's fiercest brawler concedes. It retreats into the brush, its biological armor thoroughly tested by avian fury. The threat evaporates. The mother secretary bird stands victorious, erecting her cranial crest in a striking display of territorial dominance. She has fiercely protected her genetic investment. A terrestrial assassin and a devoted guardian, she remains the undisputed biomechanical apex of the plains. Stretching across the equator, this is not merely a landmass. It is a tectonic crucible, the original biological engine of planet Earth. Forged by extreme thermodynamic shifts, Africa sustains the greatest concentration of megafauna in existence. Here, every drop of water is fiercely contested. To survive this landscape is to master the ultimate evolutionary algorithm. Where the grass turns to dust, there are kings crowned not in gold, but in scarred horn. The Cape buffalo carries the ancient wrath of the earth, a looming shadow that simply refuses to bow. And across the silence, the golden ghosts of the savannah hold their breath. The lionesses do not merely stalk. They perform a silent, deadly waltz with the wind, melting into the mirage. This is no longer a hunt. It is a primal vendetta written in the dust. The air grows impossibly thick, waiting for a single heartbeat to shatter the peace. An unyielding wall of wrath, seemingly unbroken, but the golden ghosts know, even the mightiest fortress of flesh and bone harbors a fatal flaw. At the water's edge, a fragile life lowers its head, momentarily stepping out from the shadow of the fortress. For the golden ghosts, this innocence is not to be pitied. It is the perfect seam in the armor, the ultimate irresistible invitation. An agonizing, desperate cry shatters the tranquility of the plains. The ancient kings lift their crowned heads. The agony of one ignites the slumbering fury of the collective. Bound by an unbreakable covenant, the fortress charges. An avalanche of black muscle and scarred bone surges across the dust, bringing the earth-shattering wrath of the herd to rescue their own. Like black arrows loosed from the bow of the earth itself, thousands of scarred kings descend. This is the wrath of the collective, moving with terrifying, unstoppable singularity. In a solitary duel, the feline shadow is an unparalleled sovereign of death. But in the face of an endless ocean of horn and muscle, individual supremacy is utterly consumed. The Black Fortress closes its walls, crushing the golden ghosts beneath the sheer weight of numbers. To bleed in the wild is a sentence of slow death. Forced to weigh the heavy price of a meal against their own lives, the apex tacticians make a bitter choice. They relinquish their prize. Survival demands the surrender of pride. But the covenant of the herd demands retribution. The withdrawal of the enemy does not extinguish the flames. In a spectacular reversal of the natural order, the prey becomes the relentless punisher. The hunters are swept away by a tidal wave of vengeance. Stripped of their crown, the undisputed monarchs of the plains are forced into a humiliating exile, seeking refuge in the branches above. Below them, the sea of horns roars in absolute glorious triumph. The golden ghosts watch from their wooden exile. Their pride is severely bruised, but their lives remain intact. In the grand theater of the wild, defeat is never a disgrace. It is simply the heavy toll of tomorrow. The dust of chaos settles into the earth. The kings will graze, the ghosts will hunt again, and the unforgiving, beautifully ruthless rhythm of Africa plays on. As the golden light pierces the acacia canopy, the savannah exhales the chill of the night. High above the dust, a vibrant arboreal society awakens. For the agile residents of this leafy kingdom, dawn is a time of intricate social bonding and relentless foraging. Protected by the dense labyrinth of branches, they believe themselves untouchable, but the canopy is a treacherous illusion of safety. By venturing to the exposed edge of the leaves, a single individual has just stepped onto nature's most unforgiving stage. Thousands of feet above, drifting silently on rising thermals, the true sovereign of the skies looks down, the martial eagle, a majestic titan of the air. It does not patrol, it reigns supreme. Endowed with vision multiple times more acute than a human's, its eyes act as biological telescopes. From the stratosphere, it isolates a single rustle of a leaf. The target is locked. The execution is calculated. Folding its massive wings, the eagle weaponizes gravity itself. It transforms from a soaring monarch into a biological missile, plummeting towards the canopy at terrifying terminal velocity. In a fraction of a second, the struggle ends. Lifted effortlessly into the abyss of the sky, the primate's fate is sealed. Down below, the canopy falls into a traumatized, deathly silence. But nature carries no malice. This violent execution is merely a biological transaction. High atop the world, the fallen monkey serves its ultimate ecological purpose, fueling the relentless growth of the next generation of kings. Beyond its raw power, the eagle remains one of evolution's most mysterious masterpieces. Its talons exert a crushing force capable of snapping bone instantly, an anatomical perfection refined over millions of years of predatory dominance. It asks no permission. It recognizes no borders. In the grand, unyielding tapestry of the savannah, the eagle stands as the ultimate arbiter of the skies, a majestic phantom, ruling the winds until the end of time. The Masai Mara, an ancient sea of grass, bound by the unforgiving extremes of the dry season. Surface water evaporates, and usable plant biomass drops rapidly. Every organism here operates near its physiological limit. Survival under this equatorial sun demands strict thermoregulation. Energy is hoarded, movement is calculated. The waiting game begins. Scattered across this baked topography, vast assemblies of herbivores maintain a fragile stasis. They serve as the ecosystem's primary processors, extracting fractional nutrients from sun-bleached cellulose. Processing this abrasive diet requires highly specialized digestive fermentation. Every movement is economized to maximize nutrient extraction while minimizing moisture loss under the relentless sun. Exposed on the open grass, the African rock python relies on disruptive camouflage. As a heavy-bodied ambush predator, it conserves energy by not chasing. Specialized pit organs along its jaw detect the infrared radiation of warm-blooded herbivores, mapping the environment through heat signatures. Nearby, the savanna's apex predators adopt a different strategy. The lion pride enters a state of physiological dormancy, resting up to 20 hours a day to prevent hyperthermia. Mammalian cooling systems deplete internal moisture reserves. The pride must replenish fluids, converging on the ecosystem's remaining surface water. The aquatic environment provides thermal stability and camouflage for ectotherms. The African rock python uses water to mask its scent, leaving only its infrared sensing pits exposed. Utilizing fluid dynamics, the python advances without surface disturbance. Engrossed in hydration, the lioness experiences complete sensory masking. The ectotherm enters critical strike range, entirely undetected. The heat-sensing pits lock onto the lioness's thermal signature. Evaluating the target's biological mass, the python coils its musculature, priming for an explosive kinetic strike. The strike is instantaneous. Propelled by massive axial muscles, the python breaks the surface, utilizing rapid kinetic momentum to immediately envelop the feline's torso within heavy, prehensile coils. With every exhalation the lioness makes, the muscular coils tighten. Thoracic compression restricts lung expansion, rapidly depleting cellular oxygen and flooding her muscles with paralyzing lactic acid. Immobilized, the lioness triggers a final survival mechanism: acoustic distress signals. Low-frequency calls are broadcasted to summon the pride. The python maintains its lethal grip. Sensory scales track the lioness's fading heartbeat, pinpointing the exact moment of physiological collapse. The distress call instantly ignites the pride. Over a ton of combined apex muscle surges forward in a massive synchronized charge, shaking the ground as they rush to the riverbank. Reaching the riverbank, the lion pride launches a coordinated defense. The lions target the python's spine with extreme bite force, physically breaking its heavy muscular contraction. Facing the entire lion pride, the python risks a fatal severed spine. The biological cost becomes too high. Survival instinct overrides the hunt, forcing the snake to release its grip and retreat. The lethal grip is broken. As oxygen rushes back into the lioness's depleted muscles, she survives thanks to the savannah's ultimate evolutionary weapon, the unified power of the lion pride. As the golden hour bathes the savannah, order returns to the pride. In the soft twilight, they engage in gentle social grooming. This tactile exchange is more than affection. It releases calming endorphins, weaving the chemical bonds that make the pride an unbreakable unit. The punishing heat dissipates, replaced by cool evening thermals. Sprawled across the earth, the apex predators embrace the stillness, their bodies seamlessly blending into the fading colors of the landscape. A fleeting moment of savannah poetry, yet their sensory network remains sharp. As dusk falls, the pride rests, conserving energy for the night. As the earth tilts back toward the sun, a fragile truce is bathed in gold. The deep chill of the night slowly dissolves, allowing the entire ecosystem to begin its daily cycle of thermal respiration. Life is already in motion. Yet, in these low-light hours, vision is easily deceived. Survival relies on an ancient biological radar, every creature decoding the subtle chemical signatures carried by the morning breeze. It appears perfectly serene, but on the savannah, peace is often just an optical illusion. Even awake, resting within the mother's physical perimeter maintains a parasympathetic baseline. This lowers the cub's heart rates, conserving critical metabolic energy before mobilizing. Even in the heart of the sun-baked African savanna, the riverbank creates a localized microclimate. The damp earth offers a crucial thermal refuge from the surrounding extreme solar radiation. An adult female exhibits a classic state of energy conservation. By lowering her basal metabolic rate during peak daylight, she preserves vital adenosine triphosphate, the chemical energy required for anaerobic hunting sprints. Through controlled grappling, the lions learn bite inhibition and calibrate their center of gravity. Every interaction stimulates neuroplasticity, wiring the predatory circuits of their developing brains. Hydration demands immense vulnerability. As the adult female lowers her head to drink, her peripheral vision is severely compromised. While the young lion rapidly depletes its anaerobic reserves fighting the current, the apex reptile executes a zero-wake approach, a lethal masterclass in hydrostatic stealth. Trapped in the kill zone, the exhausted cub is milliseconds from structural failure. Propelled by its undulating tail, the crocodile closes in, nictitating membranes shielding its corneas. In a fraction of a second, the cub is violently extracted from the aquatic strike zone. demonstrating the absolute biological imperative of safeguarding genetic investment. Breaking the surface, the illusion of aquatic buoyancy gives way to crushing terrestrial gravity. The lioness hauls her saturated cub onto the embankment, overpowering the drag of the mud. Back on solid earth, the immediate peril washes away with the river water. The lioness gently guides her soaked cub into the safety of the tall, sun-baked grass. Here, the frantic rhythm of survival finally slows. Their racing heartbeats gradually settle, syncing once more with the gentle pulse of the savannah. The rest of the litter gathers close. This physical warmth and shared scent reaffirm their bond, wrapping the young in an invisible blanket of absolute security. Far from the river's sanctuary, the vast expanse of the savannah bakes under the zenith of the equatorial sun. Here, the thermal dynamics shift. Rising heat waves distort the horizon, creating an optical mirage that masks the relentless engine of survival. For millions of other inhabitants, there is no reprieve. The biological arms race marches on, hidden in plain sight amidst the swaying golden grass. Under the harsh glare of the rising sun, the pride enters a period of metabolic recovery. The cub's nurse, drawing upon highly concentrated, lipid-rich milk essential for their rapid cortical development. But this maternal investment carries a steep physiological cost. Every ounce of nourishment transferred to her offspring pushes the lioness closer to a critical energy deficit. Survival now dictates a harsh calculation. To sustain them, the mother lion must leave them. The lioness caches the litter in dense cover, relying on their instinctive stillness and camouflaged rosettes to evade diurnal predators. Shedding the role of a nurturing mother, her musculoskeletal system locks into stealth mode. The peaceful interlude is over. The daylight pursuit of calories has begun. The lioness initiates a complex visual sweep. She is not merely observing, she is actively processing a dynamic dataset of biomechanics from the grazing herd ahead. The lioness's binocular vision isolates an initial target, but a rapid biomechanical assessment reveals the energy cost would be too high. The lioness aborts this option, shifting focus to scan the herd for a more nutrient-dense alternative. The lioness drastically lowers her physical profile, merging with the sun-scorched grass while preloading her muscles for explosive speed. Every step forward is an act of precise biomechanical control. The lioness has locked onto a suitable nutritional target. Ahead, spotted hyenas dismantle a fresh wildebeest. Their massive jaws generate crushing force, shearing through solid bone to access nutrient-rich marrow. The lioness watches, calculating the risk. Stealing this kill from the hyenas, a behavior known as kleptoparasitism, bypasses the severe physical exhaustion of a hunt, but confronting an agitated clan carries the threat of fatal injury. The carcass's caloric value outweighs the risk. The lioness locks onto the feeding hyenas, deciding to use superior mass and psychological shock to shatter the clan's formation. Fast-twitch muscle fibers ignite, launching the lioness into a full anaerobic sprint to violently scatter the hyenas and claim the prize. The lioness breaches the perimeter, utilizing massive momentum to scatter the first line of hyenas. Spotted hyenas are highly evolved for mobbing. The clan regroups, attempting to flank the lioness and target vulnerable hindquarters to sever crucial tendons. High-stakes tactical defense begins. The lioness pivots aggressively, keeping heavily muscled forequarters facing the attackers. A single swipe from the lioness's claws can deliver a lethal laceration. The kleptoparasitic raid succeeds. As the hyenas retreat, the exhausted lioness secures the wildebeest carcass. The critical proteins and lipids gained here will sustain the lioness's hidden cubs. Panting to regulate core temperature, the lioness assesses the wildebeest carcass. Securing this massive caloric yield triggers a state of deep biological satisfaction. Securing a firm cervical grip, the lioness utilizes immense shoulder strength to haul the dead weight. Dragging a carcass heavier than her own mass requires phenomenal anaerobic exertion over the rough terrain. The cub's digestive systems are in an active state of transition, supplementing lipid-rich maternal milk with easily digestible, iron-heavy organ meat. Specialized carnassial teeth shear through dense muscle fibers, rapidly converting raw protein into vital growth. Within this unforgiving ecosystem, securing such a massive caloric prize guarantees the family's survival for another few critical days. As the Earth's rotation obscures the sun, Rayleigh scattering paints the savannah in low-frequency red and orange wavelengths. The intense thermal energy of the day rapidly dissipates into the cooling atmosphere. For the lioness, the creeping twilight signals a critical tactical advantage. Behind the retinas, a specialized reflective layer, the tapetum lucidum, amplifies the gathering of residual photons, perfectly calibrating visual perception for the nocturnal hunt. The savannah transitions entirely from a visual landscape to an acoustic and olfactory battlefield. Under the heavy cover of darkness, survival is no longer dictated by who can see, but by who can sense the unseen.